Sometimes I don't believe you when you say that.
I don't think anybody is.
Yeah. Are we?
Are we alive?
Yes, we
Like,
are.
apparently, we are live here on Facebook, the Horse Syndicate Discourse. Tonight, we have a guest with us, and it's not Nathan. He's just been here the whole time. Uh, we've special guest actually, Sasha Jensen. How you doing?
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's great to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces in my computer screen at the moment with horror movies in the background.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
we're not
I
just
think,
horror fans. We like it all, but you know,
you, and so does all the artwork come down. And then when you
yeah. For the next show, I take all. Yeah,
when you go mainstream,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
get
This is
Tom
all,
Hanks.
this is all just a matte painting behind me.
I got blue screen going on or green screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are fan. I mean, when doing the horror show, you got to have a great background, right? So that's why I spent so much money buying all this stuff. I have some of Nate's art, but I just keep that in the closet where he keeps his own art.
That's where it
So
belongs.
is that where it belongs?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited to have you. I gotta say, one of the best things ever is seeing your face smashed in Halloween. No, I'm joking. Actually,
No,
I'm a
it's
bigger fan of Dazed and Confused. I'm sure. I'm wondering, do you hear that more about Dazed and Confused more than
oh
Halloween?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it kind of, I don't know. For me, that was a really great depiction of teenage. It was accurate. It's fairly accurate, and
Yeah.
people love that. The horror genre is the horror genre, and your head can get smashed any which way. Um,
You put up a good fight.
but yeah, no, I feel really lucky to be in a film like Dazed and Confused, and at the time nobody you when you read this when you read the script, it was like you had no idea what the story was about or where it was going. you know um Rick's movie before that was Slacker, which was just a kind of a rambling, an interesting one. So nobody had any idea, and it was kind of off of the heels of some pretty straight, down the middle teenage movies. So I mean, well, we were cursing every other line, and the Universal producers were freaking out, and Rick was like, no, just keep it as natural as you can, and so. But at that time, I mean, now it's completely different. But at that time, it was like, what are we doing? It just feels like anarchy in front of a camera, with just a bunch of
Good
kids.
anarchy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, no, it was. I don't think anybody really felt like we were making anything substantive, but we had a good time doing it, and there was
Yeah.
kind of like a real good kind of cohesiveness to it, and chemistry, and a lot of the things that got us there was we had 2 weeks of rehearsal, and we were hanging out in Texas, and we would when we were doing we did all the night stuff the second half of the shoot. So what we would do is we'd shoot all night, and we would go down to the river, go to the river all day, and go
That's cool.
floating down in the inner tubes, with beer, and we just hang out and totally exhaust ourselves and have the greatest summer. Um, until like the final end, we were so beaten, because we were supposed to be totally wasted anyway. So we just, we exhausted ourselves, towards the end, and it was really a great, bonding experience for all of us. It was kind of like we were all part of a fraternity or a sorority, and even though lives have gone off in different ways, um, and years have passed, there's always that, kind of like that look back, and when we if I bump into any of them, it's like, oh wow, fantastic, we shared that, and there was a special time when we were all young, we were all innocent, we were all reckless, uh, and everybody was filled with expression of this experimental kind of spirit, almost like almost like if you look back at the 70s, you know, you know, it's like the rogue movie stars of the 70s were kind of had like this outlaw spirit, and if you weren't an outlaw, you were a part of the problem. And and this had just a piece of that where there wasn't there was nothing formulaic in it. You know, there were no movie stars. No, you know, everybody had, a few people have done had finished doing you know, a few other movies, but kind of at that time, it was like really still very movie star driven. It was like Andrew, either like I forgot who was hot then, but it was just like, yeah, you have two, you know, hot teen stars or whatever, and then kind of like your supporting cast in the back, and so this was completely opposite of that, you know.
Yeah. I think the only person I really knew when the film came out was Mia, because she was this big supermodel, and you
Yeah,
know, she had been a name, or like she was in the public eye. And I think
yeah,
that was the only person I really recognized, really, other than yourself, because I'd
Yeah.
seen Halloween 4 and all that. But that's what the film feels like. It does feel like there's an organic, and that's the thing about Rick's work. Like you said, Slacker was just so uncommon, because he like great storytelling, where it's like you just start with this character, and all of a sudden you go off with this character, and then that's like Dazed. It's like there's not really a plot. It's about you're just hanging out with these people, and some people attack that, where you have to have a plot. You have all, and I think Ethan Hawke had said that about Rick's movies. Of course, Ethan did the Before Sunrise
right.
trilogy that was so great. He said that no one really remembers plot. You remember how movies make you feel,
Yeah.
and because
Oh,
that's
I
what
love
Rick does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I remember he was always so understated, and it's, you know, it's so interesting because you know, I still live in LA, and I'm still dealing, you know, it's with a lot of the executives, and you know, there's a lot of really smart academic minds. It's driven by that, you know, and with that comes kind of an analysis and a criticism. And I just remember Rick just just he would just say, you know what, he's not afraid to be wrong, but he wants to stay kind of organic to, you know, a vibe that he has, and it's just that simple, you know. And he, you know, he was saying a lot of the executives, or the you know, the Hollywood minds are so critical because it's not, you know, it doesn't fit into a formula, and if it doesn't fit into a formula, that makes people afraid,
Mhm.
you know. and and he was just very simple, going, you know, I just kind of, I want to go with my intuitive sense. um and he's always, even the way he, you know, the way he lives, the way he works, you know, his, from, you know, what I've seen over the years, and he's always so personable. He's not precious about much. He's genuine, and you know, he happens to have the ability to make films, and they are turning out to be great, most of them, you know, because he's he's just drawn to a simple, clear voice, and he executes it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in my top 5, top 10 filmmakers of all time. Like that, I feel like that time frame that you were in there, that early '90s, when this explosion of independent voices were coming out with Richard and Spike Lee and Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez and Kevin Smith, like all that kind of stuff. Because I saw Days and Confused, Reservoir Dogs, and Clerks in the summer of '94. I was in
Right.
college, and they were like these movies, like, wow, like you don't have to, you can actually make movies like this that are character and dialogue driven and relationship driven. And they kind of, I think, I know they did for me, I know they did for a whole generation of filmmakers, a lot of people working today in the industry. Those are the movies that made them want to do it. Like Kevin saw Slacker and wrote Clerks and went to film school to become a filmmaker. And so, I mean,
Right.
when I
Right.
Days Confused is my like my 4th favorite film of all time, and it's like, in college, I had, when I was doing my artwork, when I'd come home from college and I'd work on my artwork, I'd have Reservoir Dogs or Dazed and Confused playing in the background.
Yeah.
So I knew those things so work because they were so, you could listen to them and that music of the dialogue and they just felt different. They just felt so different from everything because it, like you said, he wasn't worried about formula or who he's selling it to. It was about capturing life as it was then. And I remember that because I grew up the funny thing about Days is it takes place in the exact month I was born, in May of '76.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, because the 70s and early 80s all felt kind of same. The fashions, the music, the guitar rock, all that stuff was totally my early years in life. And I remember dad looking like that or mom looking like that, and the music and the cars and that culture of hanging out, drinking beers, sitting on a lawn chair before the social media, before the video games, before everything. You just hung out with people, and that was life. And that's what I think I love about that film, is you just see people enjoying each other and hanging out with each other, that you not worried about, oh well, what are we doing, is there a heist going on, or is there something kind of like, it's just life in a day.
Yeah,
that's what's beautiful about it.
And there wasn't really any cheats, he just kind of, there were some duller moments in it that were real slice of life moments, and you went with it instead of, now if you're like, a lot of times if you're writing or trying to create something, you're always so afraid. It's like, okay, I need every moment to, to pop or to pay off or to feed into the next moment, or, fill a formula. And he was more into just capturing behavior and, an era. And that was it. The funny thing is, the first screening I saw of it, a bunch of us went to it, and it really hit me, is Dazed is a perfect music video, because I saw it once when the music was off, like it wasn't dialed in the way that it is now. Movie was unwatchable. It really, because it didn't work. Because if you and you don't even think about it, it's seamless, but it's like every scene, there's a song that comes up and then it goes down, and it goes throughout the whole movie. It's an endless, seamless music video. And I just remember watching it. We were all like, "What the hell is that?" And Rick was
sorry.
Rick was like, "Don't worry about it. We don't have the music dialed in yet. It'll be better." And then it was like, whoa, it was.
I wonder what the budget of that movie for the music was, because I know he paid a lot for the Bob Dylan song. I remember hearing that, because he remembers distinctly driving and hearing that song when he was like 14 in the car driving with his buddies, and Hurricane came on. So when I watched, because that's like one of my favorite soundtracks, period. Like, that soundtrack is just incredible. And I just think, man, it's a small movie, but it has this amazing collection of music. Like, it must have been, most of the budget must have been into that soundtrack.
Yeah. There was a lot of songs he couldn't get. Of course he wanted Zeppelin. They were going to give it to him. Yeah, I wonder. I remember, and he actually, what he did is he made us all kind of like a compilation tape of all the music that he wanted. He gave to us kind of before we went out to Texas. He goes, "I want you guys to all kind of just zone out on this stuff and revisit it if this is not in your veins," which it wasn't, because it was like the '90s.
Yeah.
One of the cool things I wanted to say about it was my mom. She actually was part of the class of '77 here in the St. Louis area, and when I watched it with her, I was 13 when I first saw it in '93, '94, and I remember the whole time she's sitting there, just like, she almost looked like she was hanging out with her old friends, because she kept saying, "Yeah, I knew a guy like that. Yeah, I knew a guy like that." Because
I've heard that. Yeah, I hear that all the time, which is fantastic. It's like, who were you back then? Yeah, that's
unfortunately my mom was the bitchy one.
She was Parker Posey.
Parker Posey, yeah. She's like, "Yeah, that was me." I'm like, "You're like that?" She's like, "Well, where do you think you get it from?" I'm like, good point.
I like how things cycle. Like one of the scenes that made me laugh when I saw it was when Jason London goes up to Mike and punches him after the fight with Nikki. and
Yeah,
says, "Hey, Ali,"
Yeah.
right? Because I remember in school, in my era, it was Tyson. So like, if somebody, got in a fight, like, "Hey, Tyson," kind of thing. So it was like this. Oh, we do that still. We do that, where we make those same references if someone's gotten in a fight. So it just made
right.
me laugh at the whole Ali thing, because I know we've had people do that with Tyson or whatever your boxer of your generation is.
Well, there's a lot of that in that movie, Dazed and Confused. Like, even when I was in high school, there were characters like Don. We didn't have any Woodersons though. I don't remember creepy guys hanging out with high
Thankfully,
school. Yeah, I,
I know
yeah,
we're spending a lot on Dazed.
because it's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
it's hard not to talk about that
Yeah.
film. I didn't know, Sasha. I was trying to do research on it because I like to talk about other things, but you kind of come from an industry family. I didn't know that, like, your dad is like a stunt legend and doubled for like Robert Mitchum
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and like your uncle was like a art director, illustrator, and did.
Oh yeah, you'll appreciate this.
Yeah,
He drew the first Close Encounter ships.
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah, he did Close Encounter. He did a lot of Spielberg stuff. He was a fantastic artist. He passed last year or the year before. Um, yeah, he did yeah, a lot of Spielberg stuff, and
So
yeah,
he worked
I
on
mean,
Return of the Jedi as well, and a few things. Like, I was trying to, I was looking at the IMDb, like, man, this whole family is just super talented and worked on so many classic things. And like one of them, I jumped out with your dad was like Red Dawn is one of my favorite movies growing
oh,
up.
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah.
And I remember I didn't know that was your dad because he played C. Thomas Howell's dad in the movie.
Wow.
Like, gives them
Okay.
the guns and all that stuff. And like, to me, that movie made me fall in love with character actors because you had Harry Dean Stanton and Ben Johnson and all these William Smith and those guys always feel so real. Powers Booth and your dad, like, he felt like the real guy. And that scene only has that one scene. It felt genuine. It felt real. And so when I saw that, oh, that's Sasha's dad, cool. And I started seeing all the other things he had done. And then I kind of got to that because I saw that you did some stunts early on.
Well, it's
Or,
it's it's funny. I'm sorry, I'm getting some weird pop-ups on my screen.
okay.
I'm it's yeah. I grew up in Hollywood, and to me, Hollywood is a coal mine town. There was nothing. And I grew up as a kid up in the Hollywood Hills, but the Hollywood Hills, had dirt vacant lots, and we had motocross tracks underneath the Hollywood sign.
Hmm.
And there would be, we would ride our motorcycles, across the hills, and you'd stop and you look down, and there's like like, what's going on down there? And it's like some weird music porn party going on, and people are, really rocking out, but there wasn't anything glamorous about Hollywood. And it's funny because I'm kind of constructing maybe a 10 episode show kind of around Hollywood. But Hollywood is a coal mine town, in the 70s when, this kind of outlaw spirit took hold, in the late 60s, early 70s, because it's funny how everything was changing during that time, especially in the music and the film industry. And it just had such a strong renegade defiant spirit, which is so polar opposite to right now. Everything has to be, we're
PC.
we're buttoned up and afraid. Back then, it was like everyone was an alcoholic, everyone was violent, everyone was a drug user, and you can call it dysfunctional or not, but it was the norm, and it never felt dangerous. Maybe later on when you kind of look back, you're like, well, that was maybe a little bit dangerous, so it's kind of like, culturally, how do we label things? Like back then, culturally, if your dad pulled over, it was funny when I was a kid, we would I don't know if you know the LA area, but there's Mulholland is basically kind of the Hollywood Hills. It's the top. It's the top of Mulholland, the top of the Hollywood Hills, and it's a curvy canyon on the ridge of Hollywood. And back when I was young, people would race it. You know, they would race Mulholland. And and it started back in the late '60s. Steve McQueen would go. I mean, there'd be like all these renegade movie stars and stunt guys, and then racers, from people who'd like to race, from Van Nuys. It was all kind of all walks of life. There wasn't a real hierarchy, but they would go and they would congregate up on top of the Hollywood Hills, and they would race Mulholland. And then the teenagers would sit and watch, and it had kind of had like this Dazed and Confused vibe, where all of a sudden there's 50, 80, teenagers from 14 piling in the back of pickup trucks, with the keg or or whatever. And we'd go, you'd go up to the top and you'd watch all these different walks of life race. And there's like a movie star racing, and then there's so and so, this some, oh, that guy's a junkie from the valley, and he's racing, and but it was so, that spirit, that crazy aggressive renegade spirit was widespread, I think, in that time, across the world, across the country, but even in Hollywood. It was just because Hollywood had to put out entertainment. They had to put out they were at the cutting edge music, everything. They felt there was this obligation to stand at the forefront of the cutting edge and put that expression out there. And it was fucking dangerous, but if it's not considered dangerous culturally, then what is it? It's wild,
normal, right?
It's wild and exciting.
Yeah.
And if people, aren't dying, then it might not be, But it was a fearless. I don't know how we got off on this, but so basically, yeah. I grew up, in that house, kind of, out here in Hollywood, and there wasn't anything precious. And I remember, I don't know if it's on the IMDb, but the first film I ever did was Big Wednesday.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't even know if it's listed, but it was because
it was. Yeah, it wasn't on there.
Yeah. I was a little kid, and so my dad introduced me to John Milius, because John Milius viewed himself as a bully. Everybody liked to go down, and it was really like this weird brawling martini culture in Hollywood.
That's possibly why he casted your dad for Red Dawn.
Oh, for sure. He was in, and I think he was in Dillinger, and Milius wrote Dillinger too.
Yeah.
I think it was called Dillinger.
Yeah, the one with Warren Oates. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Milius wrote The Getaway. He was in The Getaway too. So, I mean, when I was a kid, there's that famous scene, and I think I love this story. It's in Chinatown, when when Polanski cuts Nicholson's nose.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad played the heavy, the big guy who's holding Nicholson. He played that guy forever. I was on the camera dolly while they were shooting it, and it felt. And I just remember, then afterwards, it's like 2:00 in the morning, and they shot that up on, actually really right off of Mulholland, right up in the Hollywood Hills. And then driving home, and I think my dad had like a drink before we were going, and then there was then he was like, "You want to go look at the race?" And they were racing. it just felt naturally. It felt like this kind of like, I don't know, this very natural but crazy world, and I don't know, it's just now hitting me how much times have changed, I mean, we're so monitored now. It's who knows where we go, but I appreciate that, that era. And so, when I was I met John Milius, and he was my dad's buddy who liked, who had a German Shepherd, and he was a director, and he everyone kind of liked my dad because he liked to fight and because he was a football player and he kind of worked his way. He was just like a big nasty, gnarly guy who was a natural heavy, and people at that time during that era gravitated toward that energy.
Yeah.
He was good friends with Peckinpah, and he and Peckinpah got into a fist fight on a Cessna airplane on the way to Mexico.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in a Cessna. while they were drinking tequila. I forgot why they were going down there. But my dad was roommates with a guy named Roy Sickner,
Wild Bunch, right?
Yeah. So Sickner and my dad were stunt guys together. This is obviously before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived on the beach in Malibu, and they were just, all they would do is drink and beat each other up and fight. And they were both really badass. And so all of a sudden, like the Malibu culture back then kind of gravitated, he met a bunch of people down there. And so Peckinpah was living down there. And so he was a part of that. They were all part of that kind of Malibu drinking. You can call it an artistic community. I don't know. I think it was a drinking community,
It's artistic.
Yeah. And so Sickner wrote the script, and then Peckinpah gravitated towards it. There's a lot of different stories around it. And actually Sickner was a very close friend of my dad's, and he was a stunt guy, and he went to work one day and he got hurt in a Jeep rolled over on him, and he lost. I don't know if he's a quadriplegic or a paraplegic, but he that changed his life a lot, forever, and then we didn't see him that much afterwards.
You say you're working on a project about that time period. That sounds like perfect fodder for a series or a film. Is that reckless? Like you said, nothing was precious. Because that's kind of how I got the vibe from you. Was you worked on these films, but that was just life. Like you worked on Dazed, you worked on Halloween, you went to this project, that project, but it was just work. It was just a job, like it is. A lot of people we romanticize it so much, the fans, but from that perspective, it's like this is just what we do. We go to this, we work on this, we do this. My dad, your dad worked on he had 100 credits or something like that on IMDb.
Yeah, a bunch.
From acting and stunt work and all this. So I don't know, it just seems like it would be a really interesting series or something if someone could capture that.
No, it's fun. I'm excited about it, and I'll send you the Bible. I'd love for you to look at it, just because maybe you have because you have such a great artistic eye. It's really about that era. I'm drawing a lot of the stories from him, or the stories that that he told me, because it's my experience of Hollywood. There isn't anything glamorous about it. Yes, you see it, there's the premieres and there's all that, but this is more about kind of the darker comedic underbelly of the characters, and they don't even necessarily have to be fringe characters, because unless you're an old Hollywood legacy, you're crawling out of usually there's somebody crawling out from some rock somewhere and it shows up, and now there's a star, or there's impact, but you chase that trail back and you're like, oh, okay, I know the story behind all these, it's like behind every celebrity, you go one, sibling back or over to the left and this and that, and you've got a clan of, there's a mess. There's a very entertaining mess all over the place back there, and just because the movie star up front is, shining.
Yeah.
It's so this is that world. This, for me, it's kind of like Hollywood, the coal mine town, what it really was for me back then, because it wasn't anything, it wasn't impressive,
Yeah. I love that description of coal mine town.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too.
That's really
I do
sells
too.
it. The image of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's there's
Very
ra-
Americana. with that.
racing up in Hollywood. It'll catch the dazed spirit of the 70s and kind of that, I mean that generation of teenagers where people would just sit in the back of trucks and just get high and zone out and listen to music. It's there's a difference between that. I mean, that's what I used to do. You'd sit there and you'd listen to music and you'd talk about it, and I don't know if that's happening now. I think it has a different spirit,
No, because people are doing this. They're holding up their
Yeah,
cell phones
You're,
and looking
like,
at
you're
their.
exactly right.
I
You're
mean, even in the
exactly right.
'90s, when I grew up and was in high school, yeah, that's what we didn't sit in the back of pickup trucks, but we would party with our friends. We'd go out to fields like you guys in the movie did, and drink and do whatever that I don't want to talk about because it's kind of X-rated. But
Yeah,
you know,
none of us want to really talk about it. But.
but yeah, that's what I think part of the, I don't want to say problem with this generation, what's going on now, but there's a, I don't know what to say about it. I
It's
don't
too
want to get
fast.
but
Everything's
yeah,
too fast. There's no time. No one's living in the moment. It's always
that's a good way to describe
where
it.
can
Too
I
fast.
get or what can I get next? Like even art. I mean, people absorb art now and then it's what's next because there's like unlimited resources now. There's
Yeah.
all to the point where even great art isn't getting seen or heard because there's just way too much and no one's like taking a minute to really listen to that band or watch that film or watch or really and then to talk about it and that's something like we're talking about a lot of times we talk about these movies and a lot of people gravitate towards the films of that era, the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
but because that's like as fans we watched them over and over and over because we didn't have unlimited resource. We had that VHS tape or it came on cable or whatever and we saw it over and over and over.
Yeah.
But now it's like people watch a movie and that's done. What else? And it's like and to the point where it's not as loved, even though there are going to be kids and people who do it. But now we're just so busy and so there's so much content out there that's thrown at us every day. Like you said, that phone where you're going through your feed and you're like you see something funny and then it's gone and like you're not down to the next thing. And that's how
Yeah.
all life is going on right now, where it's like every experience is like
Yeah.
just breezing by and it doesn't resonate.
Attention spans are measured in nanoseconds.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll hit us even harder kind of the further down the road we get, because
Yeah.
we'll still be of a generation who remembers what.
Yeah, like Pat, I think it was Patton Oswalt said that the Gen X, the Gen X generation, our generation was the first generation to go from having nothing to having everything. Like we know what it was like to not have a device and all that
That's
to
right.
now we have it. And like, because we were the first generation to go from that, where we still remember what it was like to just get on your bike and hang out with your buddies and go off. But now people are staying inside. People are too afraid to go outside, or they're too distracted to go, or just to hang out with other people, or texting each other instead of communicating, and those type of things. So I always like that what he said is like, because it's true. Like and I feel bad for my daughter because I have a 10, 11-year-old daughter, and I'm terrified to let her go out like to do what we did.
Yeah,
to
what's
live
that
in
about?
world.
Because my son's 10 and I'm like, I remember staying at home by myself with my 3-year-old brother. And I mean, all we did was watch horror movies or whatever, but I'm terrified to leave my 2 kids, 11 and 7, home alone. It's ridiculous. This time's so much different.
I mean,
Maybe that's
And
why we
there's so
romanticize.
many more influences, it's like,
Yeah.
and I mean, back then you were forced to be uncomfortable for a period of time, if you didn't have a way to fill your time, or, you would be bored, or you couldn't connect with a friend, or, you would do your art. I mean, I remember I would just sit and, I would just write forever. I would just write and write and write just because I was living up there in the hills, and sometimes I was, only child and there's no one around, and my dad was gone or whatever. And, now it's just like, where's the iPad?
see, I'm from this generation we keep talking about, but it's different for me because I lived like in the middle of the woods by myself. So every time I was around other kids or people my age, I felt out of the loop. Like I feel like I grew up like an 80s or 90s kid because I didn't have internet. I was always by myself and I just sat and watched movies and drew. And it was always weird because everybody else would try to text me and I'd try to call them or go do something. And they were polar opposite. So I guess I'm the weird egg out of the bunch.
You're a somewhat old soul. That's
Yeah,
why
I
you're
hear that
welcome
a
here,
lot.
man.
You're just hanging out with some older people is what you're doing.
Yeah.
He's thinking of us. So I'm sure a lot of people are watching the show or are waiting to get into Halloween because that's
What about Ghoulies?
and yeah, Ghoulies.
Actually, a
watched-
lot of people have commented on Buffy. They
Yeah,
love
Buffy the
your character in
Vampire
Buffy,
Slayer.
and they had crushes on you from Buffy, and so not me, but
I even watched.
I don't remember any of those. I don't remember Blue Crush from Buffy.
Halloween you remember, right?
I remember Halloween. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the oh boy. Okay, so George Wilbur played Michael Myers, and he was a stunt guy, and I knew him before because my dad was a stunt guy, from that world. And also, I forgot the stunt coordinator's name, he also worked on Dazed, but he was a friend of my dad's too. So it was funny when all of a sudden I show up in Utah, and there's there's a couple of my dad's buddies are like, oh, there's this Jensen kid, Jensen kid, and I gotta remember his name. If you guys could pull it up, I don't know. That's stunt coordinator. I mean, I don't know if he's around anymore.
Can you guys look it up?
Somebody's on it.
I thought the same thing.
Great guy, but so he was like, because in this, in the script, it's like the teenage kid dies, and so there was none of it was scripted, so we had to come up with something. And so the fight, that we did and all that with the gun, that was all kind of in the spirit of let's do a thing that that I guess kind of they wanted me to get into, like, do my dad's stuff, let's toughen you up, kid, let's do this, I want you to fight, and I guess it was like yeah, I don't know, they were just kind of they wanted, and so just that whole fight thing was like, come on, Jensen, you could do it, you could kind of get me to live up to my dad's fight. And so that's kind of where that that kind of tracks from. That's why we did that.
Yeah, and it's since you were in part 4, like, obviously, I don't know if you've seen part 3, but it was a huge deviance or away from what the franchise was. And so, like, did you feel like there was any pressure to, like, make it a Michael Myers movie again? Because, like, Halloween 3 really didn't have anything to do with Michael Myers, and then you're put into part 4.
No, because I actually, I think at that time, I don't think there were ever any successful sequels. It was kind of like, okay, you're in a sequel. I mean, and I think that was that was like my first film as a young adult. I think I was 20 or something. I can't remember. But it was a number 4, and so there was number 1, which was good. Number 2, at that time, was kind of a number 2. Number 3 was like, whatever. Number 4 was like, it doesn't even matter. No one will ever see this thing.
Yeah.
And just go have a good time in Utah and see how it goes.
Was Fred Lerner who you were trying to say?
Yes, Fred Lerner. That's right, because he was also the coordinator, I believe, on Dazed.
And that kind of goes back to, like, that whole idea of, like, the coal mining town of the sequels, because fans again romanticize that stuff where, like you said, like, I'm doing the 4th movie or the 5th movie, and I've talked to, like, other guys in the industry, like the makeup guys, like, hey, what is that gag you did in part 5? It's like, I don't know. They were making one of those every year, and we worked on all of them. I don't remember any of it, because you just go in, you make that thing that day, and then you the next day you go in, you work on another piece, and it's just that assembly line thing, especially like a makeup.
That's what I mean. If you were to go to look at my dad's IMDb, he did a lot of shitty movies that were instantly forgotten in fucking Mexico and some, you know, and like some director named Zacharias, you know, and there was a lot of that. A lot of that was going on. You know, and then every now and then there's, you know, something notable.
Chinatown comes along.
But the meat and the potatoes wasn't, you know. So I'm doing a Halloween 4. Yeah, I'm excited to do it. You know, I think it's fun, but I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be anything, you know. And I think it's great. It's a great franchise.
It's a great sequel, really. I know I can speak for Nate. I think it's our favorite.
My favorite of the sequels.
It's my favorite of all the sequels. I mean, it's hard to eclipse the original movie. It's probably the face of all of horror. Everybody knows Halloween, and even being a sequel to Halloween probably has plenty of merits. But yeah, I think 4 is a great sequel, in my opinion. And I do like your character in the film, especially that scene, the death scene. It's so brutal. You hold your own too. That's the thing. You first of all, I mean, the guy Brady comes off as kind of a jerk. He cheats on the girl with the bigger boobs, which I don't blame him. I mean, let's face it. But then, you know, you're protecting Rachel and Jamie, and have to face off with Michael Myers. You're the only one to really hold his own, I think, in the whole series. I don't know how familiar you are with the rest of the series, but you are until he grabbed your face. By the way, that looked painful. Was it really painful?
No, it was good. They had I was like sitting on a teeter totter, you know. So that's when he lifted me up. That was kind of like the assist, you know. I was a teeter totter, and he was twisting my face just to get the look. And we practiced that, like, okay, like what angle with the hand and the thumb, and what's going to really look like my face is cracking, because they did a little, you know, sound trick in there. And then the funny thing is and then Fred was like, let's put blood in his mouth, and I had a hard time with it was a blood pellet, because that stuff is so gross in your mouth, you know. And so he was kind of like, it would pop, and he's like trying to hold it, you know, trying to hold that and this. And I remember it was like when I spat the blood out, it was like, oh, I thought it was like a cut. I was like, oh, this is so gross. I like totally dropped character. I'm like, oh God. And they kept it, you know.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you about that, because that's always like bothered me. Like, I don't think that was supposed to be in the film. I think that was supposed to be cut, because it looks like you're breaking character
right before he dies.
I totally broke character. I'm like, this stuff's gross. God, you know. It's just like, and they kept it.
Yeah, like who edited that film?
My face totally drops. I totally stop everything I'm doing, and what you read is a subtext. It's like, this shit's gross.
Yeah, but it works. It still works. That's one of the things that I always remember about that, is he always has time to spit right before he gets his face crushed.
That's like a Jesse Ventura attitude. I ain't got time to spit while I'm getting killed. There's like, let me take a minute. But that, like you talked about, Brady, we shouldn't like him because he does a lot of awful things in the film.
He was kind of a dick.
Yeah, he redeems us, but like, to me, I think it has a lot to do with you. Because even in like Dazed and Confused, there's just a likability about you in all the films I've seen you in. Like, you just have this great presence and spirit. Even though, like, again, the character of Brady in Halloween 4 is a kind of a dick. I mean, he really is. He's like just cheating on his girlfriend. And it's like in any other movie, that guy would be the most hated character in the film. He cheated on the main girl that we all like and we're all following. And but we don't hate him. We don't hate
because he thought he was in heaven. Come on.
But I'm sociopathic quality that I work with.
I think we should turn it over to Seth, because Seth is I'm a big Halloween fan, but Seth is our big Halloween fan, so I'm sure would love to. I don't think he's gotten to speak yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I haven't gone to any conventions or anything, so this is the closest I'm gonna get to meeting celebrities. But I love Halloween 4. I love Halloween 4, and I love I really like your character. I know that people call him douchey, but he also kind of seems like how a lot of teenage boys actually are.
Yeah.
So, and you're the first person in the series to throw a fist against Michael, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's fun. I love
Yeah.
that. I can't believe that it's still. I thought the last one was great, you know.
Yeah.
And I love that there was all those like he had a lot of different callback moments from all the different ones, you know.
Yeah.
I thought they did it. They did a great job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, part 4. Go ahead.
It's just such a bummer. This Halloween it's just going to be like there's going to be no Halloween, you know.
Yeah.
We'll make what we can. Seth, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, I was just gonna, you talked about how you were like, oh, well, I'm in Halloween 4. So how much has it shocked you that movie has held up now? I'm sure you get a lot of love for that movie, right?
Maybe. I don't know. No, sometimes, like it was. Well, this was. I thought I'd get some more, but because there was not last year, but the year before, they have the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal,
Mm-hmm.
and they had one of the mazes. I mean, it's packed and it's so fun, And one of the mazes was Halloween 4. I'm like, this is great, and I'm thinking, there's so many people here, and there's a Halloween 4 maze, and the line was like an hour. And I'm back there and I'm sitting there and I was with my girlfriend and I'm like, I wonder if I should play I was in the film card to maybe get in, so I don't have to wait. And I think there was, so I was walking by because they had all these guards watching the line, this and that. I was like, what do you think? And I tried to sell it. I didn't get that. I didn't get any love. I was like,
Google me. I was in the movie.
Like, there's probably a dead me in there. I think there's a dead me. I think there is. And he's like, just wait. I'm like, it's fine. It's good. I mean, every now and then, I mean, that's a long time ago. I'm, not 20 anymore. So, but yeah, I mean, it's cool to be in something that people liked, because there's a lot of things that aren't that good.
Do you ever get to go to conventions and meet with fans?
I go rarely. The last one was, wow, I don't even remember. I think it might have been a Cincinnati or a Cleveland.
Could have been
years ago. I was going to go to the one at Niagara Falls this year, which sounded fun, but I'm sure it's not going to happen.
Right.
And they had a good one. They had an anniversary, a Halloween anniversary convention here in LA. Well, it was right before they premiered the last Halloween, because they were. I think it was the
40th anniversary.
Was the 40th anniversary? Wow.
Yeah.
So it was fun. That was good. Yeah, I like the Halloween centric kind of conventions. Just kind of the general horrors. I've gone to a few of them, and they're cool, but I don't need to go all of them.
Yeah, that way your audience is there, because I met you at Horror
That's
Hound
right.
Weekend.
Was it Cleveland or Cincinnati?
It was I think it was the Cincinnati one. I think it was the first one they did. No, I think it was Cincinnati. Shit, I can't remember. It was like 2010. This was 10 years ago. And I met you there, and thankfully I met you because we kind of started working together a little bit briefly, and I got to see you're writing. So I wanted to ask you about that. Like you said, you were writing when you were growing up in LA. Was writing something that you pursued from the get-go? I mean, or how did the acting just come organically because you were in that system, or your dad was in it, or other people?
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
It was my world. I started off as I mean, there's a couple, like I did Big Wednesday. I was like a little kid in that. I had some other credits too as a little kid. You know, I was like a little kid in another movie called Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox. My dad was in. It was a cowboy, kind of a comedy with George Segal and Goldie Hawn, and my dad was part of this kind of bad posse gang. And I was out in Colorado, which was great for the summer. It was just fantastic just to be out there. And you know, they needed some little town kid. You know, so I played that, and so I was always kind of around it. And then I got into, and I kind of fell in love with stunts for a second, just because it felt like really, I always grew up, you know, surfing or riding motorcycles, and I thought, I like those guys. I want to hang out with those guys, you know, and so I learned how to rope and ride, and you know, I was like, these are my people. I like these people, you know. I didn't get into, and then I got, you know, later on I started studying acting, and you know, I kind of I pursued it that way. But at first I was like more into kind of action minded, and so I even did some stunts in Back to the Future. I doubled Billy Zane.
Oh wow!
In there's the car crash when all the manure fell into the car.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh
right?
shit! Exactly.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So I was there, and I was Billy Zane in that. And if you look at that clip, you'll see my face. And I had, you know, my buddy was driving the car. Guy named John Clay Scott, and I was like, "What are we doing, John?" He's like, "I'm gonna run this car right into that big truck full of manure." And
were you in the front seat?
No, I was in the back. I was in the
okay.
back.
Yeah. Was it really shit, or was it just dirt?
Yeah,
clumped?
it was like dirt and manure. It was, and the stunt coordinator it was his joke, because we were all like,
what a shitty way to break in.
Right? No, it was great. And you know, it was this old kind of legendary stunt coordinator named Walter Scott, who's fantastic. And you look up his credits, and he's, you know, done everything.
I've heard, yeah.
And his brother John was driving, and I can't remember who else. And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you going in hot, and we're gonna run you right into the back of that truck." And I kept on, I'm like, "I want to stand up while we do it, you know." And then Walter was like, "No, man, you can't, you know, you can't be seen." Like, I'm like, all right. I'll say. So, I forgot how he got here, but, yeah. So if you now you can kind of see how I was organically pulled in, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of that way. And so there was a bunch of that. I was like a little soldier in Short Circuit, you know. Remember the little robot movie with
Johnny Five.
Yeah. Johnny Five is alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few of those credits, like you double for Craig Schaefer and Some Kind of Wonderful.
No, I didn't. I don't know why that's there. I didn't.
But stuff you did do is not on there, but the fake ones are on there.
Yeah.
Were you on the film at all, or was it just?
No,
not at all.
Or you know what? Maybe I'm sorry. You know what I did? I think it was like I had to run across the street in a car, almost hit him. I can't really. I remember looking at that, going, I don't remember that.
Maybe like.
And there was another one, Cherry 2000. I don't know if anyone remembered that movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And your dad was on that as well, right?
Oh, well, he was only there for 3 days, but that was kind of like the same posse that I was running with, kind of like a lot of the stunt guys. And so we were Tim Thomerson's tribe, you know? And so we were kind of all out there. We were in Vegas, and it was motorcycles and dune buggies, and the movie didn't do well. It felt like it wanted to be kind of a Mad Max, but it never, or it crossed between Mad Max and
definitely a cult film.
It was definitely one of those things that it was always on cable that I'd see periodically.
No, nothing worked about it. Yeah, so that was kind of, and that's the funny thing is that's where I met Josh Brolin, because Josh Brolin was going out with Pam Gidley at the time. And then I was trying at that time, I was like, because we kind of looked really similar at that time.
Yeah.
And he's
Still
like,
kind of do, yeah.
he was just started doing this television series where he was playing kind of a greaser mechanic kid. I forgot what it was called. And I was like, man, I want to double you because that's going to be a good gig, you know. And it was kind of the same thing, you know, kind of the same thing for him. You know, it was like he was going out with her, and now he's out there, and now I'm like gonna, you know, trying to get on his show, and so Coal Mine Town keeps on coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think hit our hour. I know you got things to do, so I really appreciate you coming on, Sasha. It's great to catch up with you, and
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
yeah, man. And talking, I really enjoyed hearing about that like because I've been out to LA twice, and I just loved it. I loved the atmosphere, but like I said, it's not even what it was. And like to hear those stories, like my favorite film last year was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I think people really did gravitate towards Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt's character, because of that. Of do you think that captured that spirit of those guys at that time?
Yeah. That the character he played, Needham, Hal Needham.
Yeah.
So Hal Needham was also part of the Stuntman's Association. He was kind of like one of the big figureheads, and yeah, he was of the rough and tumble culture, and they got it. And I have to say that film inspired, like, they got the era, you know, they got a piece of it. So that's kind of it's you know it's in there a little bit where I'm drawn to that space, and just kind of building out not their story, but more the locale. Like the house behind their house was like up in the hills there. We were on motorcycles going over the ridge, and you know, who were the neighbors, and you know, the guy who's kept on playing, like the one like black family who came from Detroit, who, because you know there was a lot of, like, the music industry was blowing up at that time too. And I remember we had like this Motown family, and it was fantastic. It was just like the music that was coming out of this one house. I just remember going over there. I'm like, this is so great. And it was just so it's raw with that kind of that 70s, for me, the genuine 70s spirit of Hollywood. You know, and you know what, I'd love to send it to you, and the Bible. I'm so excited about.
I'll look at it. It sounds amazing.
You'll dig it, and then you may even have a little artistic note on it, because I think you've got a great eye.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it sounds wonderful. I'm going to be pulling for it because I want to see that. And I just love hearing you talk about it. I could talk to you for another 3 hours on just that, of what you experienced and what you saw. So it's been a real treat to talk about that and touch on that.
Well, great catching up with you, and you guys. Thank you very much, and stay safe out there. And if we'll need to revisit again, here I am.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. It's great to hear from you.
Thank you.
All right, man. So we'll probably you're good to go if you need to go. I think we're going another half hour.
Oh, you're gonna
wrap it up. Yeah, they're gonna keep going. It's not gonna end the show, but I didn't want to keep you if you needed to go.
I got kid.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it, Sasha.
All right.
There's a lot of insight.
Yeah. I had no idea. There's a lot going on with him, and that's cool that he's going to try to capture that era that he was talking about, that he grew up around. Very cool.
Yeah, living up in the Hollywood Hills. I mean, they were all living next to each other. Like,
I really loved Los Angeles. Like, I could see, and again, like, it's not what it was, but I could still feel there's just, like I said, that coal mine town, because it's like,
it was definitely a boom town for sure.
yeah, and it's so exciting because everywhere you go, you see things, and like I said, you get. We went to the Hollywood, where you got this Chinese theater and the walk up and all that stuff. That stuff was cool. I mean, the coolest thing about that was they were premiering Halloween when we were there the last time. So I got to see like Jamie Lee Curtis and all the stars pulling up. They had a replica of the Myers house out front in front of the Chinese theater. That was cool. But other than that, I just loved driving around that town. Just like all the little places you can go. I probably went places I probably should have never been going into. I had no idea, but I was just like, because I was like hunting down Reservoir Dogs locations, and I was like back alleys and shit. And like, I was like, I could have got, killed in here. but, so yeah, that idea, like, I just love that town, and to hear all that history, and the people who grew up there, they all talk like that. They all talk about that. Like Quentin made that love letter. I mean, that was it. Like, he remembers what it was like to live at that time in Los Angeles. And like I said, it was like everybody knew each other. Everybody, it was like just like groups of people, and the Outlaws, like that whole Easy Rider movement that kind of came in, where these guys were Hollywood changed and filmmaking changed and what people were doing. Exciting time where you had all these guys coming out of film school, and then you had the guys who were do-it-yourself people, and it's just the Wild West in some ways, I guess, and which it was the West. But I love that. I know we didn't talk a whole lot about Halloween, but I knew Halloween for him was, again, just like that. It was like it's just one more gig kind of thing, which is like what I hear a lot of fans attack people today, because you hear that like, oh, well, those movies had heart and everybody was really into it and real passionate. It's like, as an actor, you go out and you put in auditions for this role and that role, and maybe you get one, but you may do like 3 dozen auditions that week, or whatever, readings that week, and you don't get it, and then you get it, and it's like, well, this is just an opportunity. This is to pay my bills, or it's something on my resume. So I'll go do Friday the 13th Part 7. I'll go do the, like, and it's like, and they're there for a couple of days. They got paid, scale, and then
that's resume building. I mean,
yeah, but people act like today, they're all about the money. I'm like, it's always been a job. It's just a job. You like, and I don't get that with art, where artists are supposed to be above that. Where it's like, look, I don't go to UPS because I love gifting packages for people. Like, I don't.
Yeah. And I don't know everything about Home Depot.
Yeah, I said something about like, hey, Ray, but at Home Depot, he's like, I don't know shit about that. It's just my job. Like, so that's how it is. Like that, you talk to people like, oh, that scene where it's like, I don't know, man. That was like day 5. We came in, we did our scene, and we left.
Well, I mean, the people remember the spit. At least,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I love that, because that's always been one of those things.
I love that
like,
part. Yeah.
Like, to me, like, the people who really get passionate about a project are the guys, like the directors, the people who are the producers, the people who are with it for a year or 2 or 3 or even years, where they're trying to get it made, where that's what they do. Like Samuel Jackson had a really good comment about that. He said, directors are usually the least experienced people on a film set, because a director gets to make maybe 10 movies, 15 maybe, if they're good in their career. He goes, but actors and crew people might make 15 movies a year. You're just going from, and I it's true. I get like actors who work on my movie, and I'm having to balance their schedules because they're doing 3 other films or plays or all these things. So the point is, like, you're just, I mean, some of them get into it. Depends on the project. Like you said, you're working on all these shitty movies, and then like Chinatown comes along, and you're working on something fucking significant and good. But a lot of it is just, I'm working on this and I'm working on that, and I've had conversations with other filmmakers where they want other people to have the same passion for the project as they do. Like, well, no one's ever going to have the passion that you have. You wrote this, you babied this, you lived with this for years.
Right.
They're coming in for 5 days and working on it and then going to the next project. So you can't expect them to have that same level of intensity and passion and love for it. They may appreciate it, but the rest of it, again, it is just work. It's a job. So I get really kind of upset when I hear people say that they don't let people do that today, where like if oh well they made that remake and you could tell there was no heart and passion in it. They didn't do it for the love, and like they didn't, like the guy that was in Critters 4 didn't really love that being in that bit part in that movie. Like he's probably you hear a lot of stories, they're ashamed that they're even part of some of these movies.
One of the things I didn't think, I forgot to ask him that I had intended to, was like how obnoxious his character was in Buffy.
He didn't even remember that he was in it. He said that.
Aha! I just always remember that.
Yeah.
I was watching. Did you watch that Monsters episode I sent that Roman sent us?
No, I didn't.
I watched a little bit of it, but I was taking care of things.
I figured he wouldn't have remembered it. It was, you know, a little anthology series.
Do you think he remembered Kathleen Kinmont's boobs?
Probably. He said I read that he knew Kathleen. They were going to school together before they worked on that project, and like he knew a lot of people.
Just so you know,
like,
this is from Chris Hall.
Okay.
So just so we know where it's from.
Talking about the boobs.
Of course. I mean, Scott Montgomery's not around, so Chris is filling in for the pervert for us. Thanks,
Cops do it by the book, man. Yeah. But there's a lot of little like things. Like I saw that he went to high school with like Adam Carolla, and they were good buddies. And
I didn't realize he grew up in the Hollywood Hills. Of course, I don't know where everybody grew up. Like,
kind of, yeah. Like I did, like, because like I said, we worked together for about a year on a project, and he, you know, hooked me up with some art directors. He was good at, he would throw me work. If somebody needed an artist, he'd write me up. And so I worked with him, but I didn't really, you know, you don't talk to people you don't get personal when you're working. You just work. So I didn't really know much. I don't really know much about Sasha, and he's a very private guy. He's got like a Facebook account. He doesn't really have an internet presence. He doesn't really get on there. I think the last thing I remember seeing him is he posted a picture of him. And you guys, if you go to his Facebook, you can find it. He dressed up as Buster Poindexter for Halloween a few years ago. He looks just fucking like David Johansen. It's crazy, but but he. You know, he was very private, so I was like, I need to do more research on Sasha to talk with, because I knew the real conversation was where he came from. When I discovered that his dad was a stunt man and actor going way back to the 50s, and his uncles, I was like, so he is an industry kid. This was life. Like, he was around this shit all the time. And when you do it every day, and your dad does it every day, and your uncle does it, is just like, it becomes a blur. Like, there's people who come up to me, because I've been pretty steadily working in art for the last 15 years, and there's projects where it'll pop up on my screen. I'm like, I don't even remember drawing that. I don't even remember what was that. Or somebody will come up, hey, I'm sorry we didn't get to work out on that thing. Like, I don't remember we talked about that. Like, because you're just going from job to job to job to job, and you know, some of them stand out, and some of them you know they're just I did that today, and I'm doing this tomorrow. And so it is that coal mining time. I'm going there, and I'm gonna dig, and then I'm gonna go home, and then I'm gonna dig tomorrow, and just like everybody, it's like every other job. It really is.
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
But Halloween 4 does rule. So.
Yeah, Halloween 4. Like,
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, let's talk about Halloween 4.
You don't have to throw that out there. We love that. That's
absolutely.
It's the best sequel. Well, 2 is probably the best sequel in my opinion. But
I don't know.
Nate, let's hold on. What are you telling me right now, Nate?
Halloween 4 is
no, come on.
Halloween 4 is my favorite, and I
Right.
love it. And there's so many reasons why I love it. And
let's start with the opening. The credits.
The opening credits is amazing. But
yes.
I think to me what works for that movie so well, again, like I said, Brady, we like him even though he does all bad things. But
he's definitely better than Wade.
To me, the heart of that movie,
fuck off.
I think it's a great Dr. Loomis movie.
Oh yeah.
Very great Doctor. And the scene with Reverend Sayer is one of my favorite scenes of all of the whole franchise.
Yeah.
But I think what to me makes that movie work is the relationship between Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris. The Rachel Jamie relationship is so good. It is. It really. that's to me what stood out when I saw it. And then this all the other, even the other characters like Bo Starr is great as Sheriff Meeker.
Well,
He's a
yeah, that's
great sheriff.
I talk about that all the time about caring about characters, and you do care about Rachel and Jamie and the sisterhood that they're bond together, but you also do care about Meeker. You care about Brady's character. He's very likable. Even fucking Wade's kind of likable. I wish there was more Wade.
Kelly Meeker was likable.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, you can see why, you know, she, of course she would rebel. Her dad's the sheriff and he's got a close leash on her, you know. She's going to be trying to, and probably again the boys are intimidated by her, so she probably doesn't get the attention that
well,
she
they say that
deserves or
Daddy
wants
doesn't
because
scare me.
guys are too afraid to give it to her. Yeah, so
I wouldn't be afraid to
there
give it
is
to
a
her.
lot of, and it goes back to, you know, Alan's script. Alan is a really good script in my opinion. I think he wrote a good story. He definitely loved the franchise. I think he really appreciated John's movie, and you could see it in his script, and the fact that he had to write it so fast because of the strike and everything.
Yeah.
I'm really, like, to me, the 80, like Nightmare 4 and Halloween 4 are my favorite movies of that year. And they're, to me, very strong sequels, considering they were under this writing strike, that they had so many chips stacked against them getting to make those movies well, and they came
That's
out
why I
very
asked
well.
That's why I asked him that question. Like, was there any pressure because of the way, you know, Halloween 3 was received? Like, you would think that there was some pressure on, like, on the set.
We'll have to get the director on and ask him.
There had to have been. I mean, he said there wasn't, but I mean,
well, it was probably more on the director and the producers more so than the actors.
Yeah,
right.
I would imagine, you know.
Dwight probably definitely had some, like, felt the pressure to deliver.
Go ahead and Dwight. What was his last name?
Dwight Little.
Yeah, I almost said Dwight Small.
Close.
Leonard Smalls.
Oh man, so let's we've got a lot of viewers today. Fantastic. I wonder if my live stream before the show helped. What do you love about Halloween 4? Let us know in the comments. I almost said credits. I'm having trouble talking. We do have
could
some
have
comments.
credits. That'd be cool.
People saying they love Halloween 4 and Dazed and Confused, of course. And there are people like someone named Amber saying she had a big crush on Sasha or something. And Buffy, I don't know. Virginia said the same thing. Chris Hall says, I do the same thing, Nathan. There are pieces where I really have to think, did I color that? I have no recollection.
Yeah, like I did no. So, and some people tag it like, I don't think I did that, or I did. Did I do that? I had to write the guy from who was it? There was somebody put a pillow up from horror merch, and I did a few pillows. Like I did a Belial, and I did all these, and it was a Freddy, and I'm like, that looks like I could have done it, but did I do it? And then I had to like write the guy that posted. He's like, no, I can't remember who it was.
Belial from House Party.
Belial.
With that, I'd buy it.
Yeah, I want a Belial basket case with Martin Lawrence.
Yeah. Yeah, do that mashup. That would be amazing.
That would be a great mashup.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Chris knows. I mean, you especially at that point. I mean, he's coloring this, coloring that. Like I've like sat. I was sitting at a convention one time. I was sitting at a convention one time at a panel, and the guy next to me he does all kinds of things on films, and he goes, I just realized I ran audio on this movie. He's like, he went to the panel and didn't realize, oh yeah, I worked on this. And so sometimes it gets that where, and I hate that because I have like a horrible memory for names and things. Like I
you do?
That's really hard. Yeah, really. And I feel awful. It's not that I don't care. I just have a really odd thing, and so I hate that because somebody will write me and I'll like completely forget. Oh yeah, we worked together 9 years ago, you know, on something.
So
again,
in
it was like
5 or 6 years, you're going to forget all about the Discourse show.
But the thing is, it's like at the same time, it's like, you know, if you at your day job worked with one employee for 1 week and then they were gone, you 10 years from now, you feel like, oh, I forgot about Jeff. Yeah, what was that guy's name? Like that's kind of how it is. Where I worked with this person this week, and I worked with that person next week, and that's how it goes. And the people that you like on a film, it's a little different, depending on your position. Because some people, they show up, they work a day or two, and then maybe they meet some people, but then they go away, and then they work on the next group of people. But there are the people where you know, if it's your team and you're, you know, as a director, a lot of times, like, I know the people I'm working with, but then there are some people who show up for a day to help out, or, you know, their crew or their PAs or their extras. And, you know, you're so focused on getting the shit done that, like, I've had people like, oh yeah, I worked on your one movie. Like, I don't remember that. Like, thanks. Thanks for the help, but because there were 40 people there and I was just trying to make my day and get all the things I needed to get done.
Just shake their hand like, I'm not trying to be a douche, but I don't remember.
Yeah, like, and and that's the thing, like, I'm a really nice guy, and I'm like, I don't want them to mistaken that as like I don't care, I don't appreciate it. It's like, I just like, because I'll get people like, hey, I want to come work and be an extra on your movie and maybe we can hang out. I'm like, I can't hang out. Like, I have to talk to, I have 1,000 things to take care of that day. And I can't, anybody on that set but the director, you're not going to get time with them. I've had people want to travel to come be an extra on my movie, and I'm like, I can't, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be able to chat with you or spend time with you.
Almost like that at a horror convention too. You get busy over there at the horror convention.
I remember when I was supposed to go to my first, I was like, hey, we'll hang out, we'll watch Blade Runner, because Ray's never watched it before. He's like, you think we're going to have time for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like, everybody wants to grab a beer with you. Hey, we should grab a beer after the show. I'm like, well, 14 people just asked me that, and my wife and my daughter here, and we're gonna go get dinner. And we're gonna, you know, and then I've been doing shows for 15 years. I have like family in the community
This
here.
is what you do. You invite as many people, like Michael Scott in that episode of The Office. Invite as many people and just see who shows up. We're gonna be at Primanti Brothers having sandwiches. Come see us.
But that's really one of the things I get. It's hard for me, and I'm introverted. I don't always want to hang out with people. Kind of like after a day of conventions and stuff, I kind of want to go to my hotel where there's quiet.
I didn't
have
take
a pizza.
When you said go fuck yourself to me, I didn't take it.
What Storage Wars?
Yeah,
I want to watch Storage Wars. That's all it's ever fucking on on a Saturday night. and Pawn Stars back in the day. I don't know if it is now.
Who knows? I don't know if we brought our own DVDs last year. My brother-in-law brought up some Fulci, so we got to watch that on our downtime, which we barely had any, because Jared and I made the mistake of seeing it at 2:00 in the morning.
Yep, I passed out and didn't go.
Yeah, so it Chapter 2. I thought it would be a cool idea, but we do have a few comments.
After a long day of a convention, yeah, it wasn't the greatest idea.
We have a few comments here about Halloween 4.
Awesome.
JP DeStefano says, I think Halloween 4 has the best Halloween season feel out of any of the films. He is 100% correct.
And
I agree.
He made that movie, Halloween shit.
Halloween Night.
Halloween Night.
Fan film?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was on my live. I did live feed before the show.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and he said thank you for doing the review for it. And we shared the link. We're going to share the link on our Facebook page. People can see.
Everybody check that out because it's the best Halloween fan film I think I've seen. Like, I was really genuinely.
Now hold on, Renee Rivas is in here, so we got to.
Renee. It's a tie. Renee, yours is the best I've ever seen.
Because he's the next comment.
Like, okay, everybody's is the best ever.
Yes. Renee's is good.
But no, like I really, like, yeah, they both did what they did. But I just really gravitated to that thing. I thought it was one of the best I'd seen, and so I'm glad he's watching. But yeah, Halloween, like, it's Halloween 4. Yeah, I remember we were doing. I kind of homaged the opening of Halloween 4 in Encyclopedia Satanica in the opening.
Good.
And because we wanted it to feel like Halloween, and we wanted to start it right off. We wanted to create it. In the side of the library, there's, but I said I want to go outside of the library, at least in the beginning, to kind of establish those things. And and so my editor David Bennell and I were sitting in the editing room, and so we got to get something here in the opening. And we were walking out to the car, and I was about to head back, and he said, "You know what my favorite opening of any movie is?" And I said, "Halloween 4." He goes, "Yes." I said, "Then we should do that." So we kind of took a note from that, and it does it. It
sets the
immediately
tone immediately. Yeah.
sets the
Yeah.
tone immediately. So
Immediately.
Halloween 4, not just the visuals, and it's so simple. It's just simple images, but it's also that great piece of music too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's perfect. I love the jack-o'-lantern and the title and the Carpenter theme that we get from those first two films in their different variations, and it's hard to say I like one more, but I think Halloween 4's got the best opening credits for that. Like it's just it has, as he said, it feels like instantly fall,
Mhm.
instantly middle America.
Yeah. It doesn't
Uh,
feel like Utah or
Halloween.
Southern California at all. Yeah, great views, farmland. It's fantastic. Renee Rivas, director of The Spirit of Haddonfield, says tone, atmosphere, and characters. That's one of the things we talked about it on another episode. I don't remember which one, where I said I couldn't get in with the characters. And in Halloween '78, I love the characters. I got in with them right away, and that's the same thing with Return of Michael Myers. You do. We talked about it earlier. The characters are fantastic. Next comment from Alex Ross Vanover. He does a good Joker, by the way. Cosplay
Oh
Joker.
yeah, he's a good cosplayer, good guy.
Loved Halloween 4 because it was the return of Michael Myers. Not a huge fan of Halloween 3. Shame on you.
Yeah, go rewatch that with the right frame.
Watch that. Yeah, take all preconceived notions of the Halloween series out of it.
Watch it as season
Watch
of
Halloween
the Witch.
3. Yeah.
You're grounded, young
it's
man.
not a bad movie. It's just not a good Halloween movie. Well, it's not. It's okay.
It has its own atmosphere, and it's a totally different atmosphere.
We're gonna do a whole episode.
Great atmosphere in Halloween 3.
When I tell people to watch it, tell them it's season of the Witch. I leave out the title Halloween.
Take Halloween out of it. It's not part of the series. Remember, they were trying to do an anthology thing, and because people were like, "Where's Michael Myers?" It failed. So that's why Brady got his face smashed on a teeter-totter.
Any more questions or comments?
Oh yeah, we've got a few more comments. Okay. I loved Halloween 4. This is from Sean Stiff. By the way, he challenged me to wear a Halloween shirt because my live feed I was wearing a Star Wars shirt. Come on, I love Star Wars. Star Wars.
This is actually from that Halloween Horror Nights. Sasha was talking about. It says Halloween 4 on the back.
Did you get to do that last year?
I didn't get it wasn't going on. I wasn't there for that, but I think actually they ended the 40th anniversary was like the weekend before we went. But I didn't get to go to this, but Lito Velasco, who composer and worked on Never Sleep Again, he lives out there, and he bought this for me and sent it to me.
Great. That's a cool
he's a big Halloween fan too. But yeah.
Sean says I loved Halloween 4 and 5 so much because I felt those two films really world built. I was so upset by Halloween. Hold on, guys, stop commenting. No, don't stop commenting. I was so upset by 6, the quality drop, and no Danielle Harris. I've always felt ripped off, but 4 and 5 are my two first horror loves. I'm disappointed myself she wasn't in 6. I love 6. To my dying breath, I will love 6, but I hate 5. I don't hate it. I don't like Tina. Tina. Alex says, thank you guys so much for a great episode. Love all the input and conversation. Sasha was an interesting guest, or was a great guest and so interesting. Thanks, Alex. Let's call him the Joker. So, Nate, you might have started something here. Oh, is he gone? Oh, no, he's still okay. I'm not. I have this big screen up. I see one big face, and it's Keith's dumb face right now. JP says, "Thank you so much, guys. Really kind of you to say. Renee and his team inspired us on what to tackle in the film. That's awesome. The fan film. Yeah,
I
check
love
out.
it when we can influence each other and inspire
Yeah.
each other. Because I mean, like, a lot of people want to pit everybody against each other. Like me saying I like JP's movie doesn't mean I don't like Renee's movie
Right.
or anything. Like,
Right.
Yep.
it's like, but that's the thing. Like I had a lot of guys who've made nightmare films say that they watched Confession because they said you kind of set a bar for it,
Yeah.
and so that means the whole world. Like the girl Paige and DeAndre who made their fan film. They decided to make that after being at the premiere of Confession. So like I liked it when people can say, hey, you guys kind of sparked this because some people go right at it. That's why I loved having Roberto on the film because the Kruger film, everybody pitted
He was
us
great.
against each other. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
great episode. So
Well, maybe we should get some
yeah.
Halloween guys on the episode then. What do you think about that?
Well, we got one.
JP, maybe one day you can come on the show and chat about your movie. That'd be kind of fun, I think. I don't know. I just like inviting people on the show.
We'll get Renee.
You're gonna get Renee. Renee's been on the show a couple of
We'll
times. I wouldn't mind
get
having him
Renee
back.
on here where me and Vincent aren't taking up all the
Yeah. Renee
the
minus Vince
airtime.
would never hike alone.
Well,
Vince.
well, if Renee inspired them, it'd be cool to let them be able to have a conversation.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's,
yeah.
let's do that. Let's get Renee and JP on. JP, if you ever are down to come on the show, friend me on Facebook. My name's Ray Awesomeness Merrick, or just Ray Merrick. Yeah, come on in. That'd be great. Thank you for the Joker cosplay compliment. Much appreciated. That's Alex. Andre Bickley said, really love the opening of Halloween 4. That pure fall Halloween feel. Absolutely. I mean, I could probably talk about that opening quite a bit. I know Nate can too, but sometimes it does rival the original in my opinion. And it's the second, if anything's the second best opening of all the Halloween series. And then Sean Stiff wants to thank everybody except for Jared, who wore a Halloween shirt tonight.
Hey.
What's your shirt? It's not Halloween, is it?
It's not.
Shining.
It's The Shining.
The Shining.
Okay.
He gets a pass for The Shining.
Yeah, that's true. That's
At least
true.
it's horror themed.
Great movie. Yeah, great show tonight. Renee, we'll set that up. Renee says he's down. JP says he's down. We'll set it up. That'll be fun. Should we wait till October to make it more
do
Halloween?
the Halloween. You're doing a Halloween show, right? Like ranking the films.
Yes, we are.
Let's have them on that.
You guys want to jump in on that, ranking the Halloween series? We have a date for it. I just don't remember when it is. If you want, Renee, JP, we're going to do a ranking the Halloween series, and we can talk about your movies as well. And we won't rank them because if we put Renee's here and then JP's here,
make me choose from friends.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Anyway, we have a lot of viewers tonight. What happened?
Stop the power.
I don't want to stop.
What happened was we were talking about Halloween.
Oh,
good point.
It's
Halloween
probably
draws the crowd more than Nightmare, apparently.
It wasn't my shining personality on the live stream beforehand.
No, it was definitely that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Go a little bit. I appreciate that. Anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about before we close up shop tonight?
Not that I know of.
Crickets?
No.
I mean, it was really having Sasha on the show. I mean, I know we talked a lot about like Dazed and Confused, but I mean, because obviously that's like a really good fucking movie.
I think it should be the rule and expectation. If we have a guest on, we're not just talking about one thing with them. We're talking about their career.
Yeah, we did. I mean, with Ken Sagos last week,
Yeah.
I mean, he was awesome to talk to. I mean, he's so much more than just Kincaid, you know?
Yeah.
And Sasha's more than just Ray.
To just focus on one thing I've done. Like an artist, like we're always doing something else. So it's like, if they're doing something now, especially with Ken, he was promoting his new movie. So that's where his love and passion and enthusiasm, like when I talked to Nick Castle, I didn't want to talk to him just about playing the shape. I'm like, this guy's a great writer and filmmaker. So I talked about filmmaking with him and he jumped right into it. He loves talking about directing. He started talking to me, asking me questions about what I was shooting on and what I was doing. And like, I had a great conversation because I wanted Mr. Castle, I loved you as the shape. Like, thanks.
So if we get Carpenter on, should we talk about what video games, his top 10 video games?
Video games and music. I think he's like really, really gets into talking about music.
I can find out if he plays Beat Saber. I
What
could
is
just
that?
see John. It's a music
Oh, the little
VR video
lightsaber?
game. Yep, I could just
Yeah.
see John Carpenter playing Beat Saber.
And the thing is, like, we've all at this point heard every fucking story about
Oh, yeah.
Halloween and all. Like, there's documentaries, there's audio commentaries. I don't want to just hear the same regurgitated stuff. Like, let's talk. Whenever I would moderate a panel, I would always ask about what have you done? You know, what do you like? You know, all that kind of stuff. And you know, even Lisa talked about that. Like, I
Yeah.
brought it up to her, and she said,
Mark
"Thank you."
Patton too.
She said, "Thank you for doing that because when we're on a panel, all anybody ever wants to talk about is Robert and Freddie, and understandably, but like we just kind of sit there quietly." And like, so I've never brought up Robert England on a Nightmare panel because unless Robert's there, because it's like it's their show. They're here to talk about their experience and who they
Yeah.
are and what they're doing. And I don't want to just
Yeah.
have the same stories everybody could get and never sleep again. I want to talk about like what outside of that.
Yeah,
So I
because
think a lot of people people know Sasha now a little more.
Yep.
I know Sasha a little more now.
And Ken too. I mean, think about it. We
Yeah.
we would have never heard the church lady story if not having him on the show. Fuck him. That's a great
Yeah.
story. Hey, if anybody watching is out there that would like us to try to get another guest on the show, let us know. We're trying. I'm trying to get Adam Marcus, the director of Friday the 13th. Well, not Friday the 13th. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. He is hard to answer my Facebook messages. Let's just put it that way. But I'd love to have him on the show. Anybody that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments. We'll try to get him. I've reached out to a few people, no response. I don't blame them. Although I did build up a rapport with Lisa Wilcox after, oddly enough. Sometimes I had to stop myself. I'm like, I'm just kind of casually chatting with Lisa Wilcox. What happened to my life? How weird is that? It wasn't about being on the show or horror or anything. It was weird. Anyway, not weird. It was lovely. But yeah, let us know in the comments if there's anybody you'd like to see. I bet you if I reached out to Danielle Harris, she'd probably just say, go fuck yourselves. But you never know. So
Get Ellie.
that would be, I wonder if she would do the show. But like, do you know, is there a way to find her, contact her?
I mean, I met her at Horror Hound. I'm sure if you talk to Sean, I'm sure Sean Clark knows how to get a hold of her.
Well, I want to have Sean on the show. I really like Sean. He's
yeah, we have
Sean Clark. Yeah,
we both met him.
Charles
Yeah.
Band.
Yeah, I'll say Sean Stiff said Charles Band, please.
Charles Band. That would be insane. Yeah, I'll
Just talking about anything full moon. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm full moon altogether, except for that Corona movie they just made. That's kind of in bad taste. But anyway, I guess let's do some final thoughts on the show on Halloween 4. Jared, what do you got?
I don't got much.
Of course not.
Just,
It was just honestly an interesting conversation with him.
Yeah.
Like I know we got sidetracked a little bit because obviously he's done stuff that isn't, horror.
Well, when you get a guy that you're a fan of that is in other things than a horror movie, you want to talk to him about that stuff. And he's got a lot of interesting.
He plays
stuff
a dick in different movies.
He's kind of a dick in Dazed and Confused too.
Yeah.
Like he does
Let's
that.
go get naked.
that guy.
But I love his performances.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good actor.
Brooke Thies is another person.
And I actually did not know that his dad was the guy that played the fucking guy in Red Dawn.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
His dad has so many credits too.
Yep.
That's crazy. Had no idea. Nathan, what about you? Some final thoughts? Penny for your
Yep.
thought.
So I gotta head out because I'm making a movie now and just going crazy. But yeah, awesome.
Hey, don't plug your movie here, okay?
I'm not plugging my movie. I didn't even say
I'm joking.
I didn't say the title because I ain't plugging shit till it's done.
Yeah,
And
you
at
and
this
plug
point, I'm
away
like,
when it's ready. Plug away. When
I
it's
don't
ready.
believe in over promoting until something's ready because people
Yeah,
forget. Again, people's attention. It's like I could promote it now. Why? Because everybody's gonna forget it.
And
in
you
10
know
minutes.
what? We're seeing that a lot now with people over promoting before anything even gets shot.
Yeah, and then like,
Anyway,
where
go
to have that movie? It's never got finished.
Yeah.
But yeah, loved it. Dazed and Confused again. One of my 40th birthday party was Dazed and Confused themed, so I was dressed up like Benny and all these characters.
Wearing bibs and stuff.
I had the baseball tee, and I even cut I had sideburns and the mustache. I had I with the whole nine, and like my wife, my daughter dressed up.
Where are the
I got it. They're on my Facebook.
Hey,
Like my
send-
buddy Jason
send
dressed
them
up
to
as one of the
us.
coaches, and so we all had had a paddle and all that. But yeah, so it was great to talk to him about that film and Richard and everything. And I actually have to go, so I'll check you later.
Check you later.
So,
See
yeah.
you later.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for that. All right. I mean, do you guys want to go or do you want to keep talking? We could talk about all kinds of shit now that he's gone. No. Keith, what about you? Do you want to do? We got 18 people watching. I don't want to waste this opportunity.
Well, I don't really have a lot of last words, but what I will say is you should go subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I know
Yeah.
a lot of you don't watch the show, so you can go back and watch some of the old episodes. We had
The Horror Syndicate on YouTube.
Yeah, the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. We had Ken Sagos on. We've had Lisa Wilcox. We've had Renee and Vince from Never Hike Alone, and
Roman and Tyler from Scream Queens.
Yep. We've had Mark Patton.
Queen. Yeah, Mark Patton.
And then I know Ray is doing reviews of his movie box sets. Seth is doing like 10-minute movie reviews. Is that what it is?
Yeah, but when he sends them to me, they're like 45 minutes.
You're gonna cut it down. I'm apparently doing a toy review every 6 years.
Yeah.
There will be more coming. I've got stacks of horror figures I've got to review and more coming. So if you like figures, watch those. Those are
If
my
you like his
last...
figure, watch those.
Oh God. Yeah, those are my last remarks.
Okay, last remarks. Andre Bickley says, I'm just drawing and working on logos. Well, thanks for letting us be background noise. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. Alex, thanks again for tuning in. Hopefully you're back next Tuesday when we talk about The Hills Have Eyes. Seth, stop rolling that lighter. I know you're itching to smoke. But right now I need you to tell me how much you're in love with Halloween 4. It can go 10 minutes. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's a dumpster fire. Now, it's one of my favorite sequels, and it's one that I watch a lot. I'm a huge Dr. Loomis fan, and I think that movie really helped kind of define Dr. Loomis as a character.
Yep.
I did that article for the horrorcircuit.com where I called bullshit on a Screen Rant article about Dr. Loomis. And you just watch that movie and he's just such a good guy. He practically offers himself up to Michael. He's like, please leave those people in peace. You want another victim, take me. That's and I just love his performance in that. And of course they kind of ruined it with Halloween 5 when they made him fucking insane.
Shaking little girls and damn near slapping them.
Yeah. Fucking man. The way he was abusing her. Halloween 4 is great. And of course, it was awesome having Sasha on tonight. And I know when I got my chance to speak, I was a little nervous. Like I said, I have never been to any conventions and I've never met any celebrities. So
Hey,
this is the closest to.
That ain't an excuse. I've been to one and I didn't meet anybody except for Vince. If you want to call him a celebrity.
You're too busy buying toys.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. I just get a little nervous just because it's, yeah.
You're good. I mean, I would be the same way if Bruce Campbell randomly popped on here. So.
Yeah.
God, if we could get Bruce Campbell on the show, that'd be out of control.
Him and his big beard right now.
I would be a dick to him.
Why? Because of Whorehound? Because of that line at Horror? I don't think he was the cause of that.
No.
I'm never coming back on that show because that guy with the beautiful hair. All right, Seth, do you have anything else you want to say before we before I close up shop?
Nope.
Stop, drop, close up shop.
Nope.
Part 6 is my favorite.
Fuck off, Wade. I'm gonna say that. How about that?
There you go.
Part 6 is my favorite sequel.
I have no problem with that at all.
Me neither.
I love Halloween 6, and I think maybe not underrated. No, it is underrated. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. But Halloween 4, I saw it when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Absolutely loved it. and the opening really does set the tone, and then you go to
Yeah.
the ambulance scene, and God's got no place or nothing to do with this place. It's such a great opening for the movie, and then the thumb to the forehead. It's a really good movie. They upped the gore a little bit in this one compared to the others, and again, and okay, Halloween 2, I do think most of the characters are there is like cannon fodder. But Halloween 1 and Halloween 4 were the ones that really had characters that you care about. And that's one of the things I like about certain movies, like I care about Kincaid and Dream Warriors, and then, Lisa Wilcox's character, Alice, and A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. You care about some of these characters, and that's kind of what I want in some of the, horror characters. And, I cared about Paul Rudd in Halloween 6. And Halloween 4 was Dr. Loomis's movie. Period. I mean, that was his standout movie. And I love Dr. Loomis. I love Donald Pleasance, and that's it. Next Tuesday, we're gonna do our makeup show for The Hills Have Eyes. That Tuesday, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Thursday, I forget. We're doing something. I honestly don't remember. I had it in my head and it just disappeared. Let me see. That way, if anybody wants to watch, they can come check it out. Pictures of Weird Freddy.
Jesus.
Wow, where the hell is our list? You guys share too many pictures. Anyway,
Lost.
we're doing something. We'll talk about it Tuesday, but for sure, come back and we're going to talk about The Hills Have Eyes, the 77 version and the remake from 2006. Just spoiler alert, the remake is 1,000 times better. Wes Craven's early movies are
Maybe
not
like
great.
500 times.
They're not
1,000.
great. Fight me. Anyway, go to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. Subscribe. We are up to 225 subscribers. Thank you so much. I will do another live video to get to 500. Anyway, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. 7:30 Eastern Time. Cut it.